There we go. Can you hear me now? All right. Live stream. So questions. What am I doing? Let's do what I'm doing first. Following on from the last stream I did last week on Roll20. So there's been questions asked in the Facebook group, in the comments of the streams whilst we're streaming our games, which we stream every Friday at 8:30 GMT. And on YouTube we've got some questions, not loads of them, but enough that I thought it's worthwhile doing a live stream so that if there's anybody else that's got questions on Roll20, get them in. Yeah, Rich. So yeah, so I'll run through these. We'll do this for about an hour, I think. Um, we'll see how busy it gets. If there's still questions to answer, then we'll answer them. So I've got my little notepad here. Look, of some of the questions that we've already had. So let's just jump through them, and maybe I can answer them. All right. So we've got a few that are around spell effects, which I know I haven't touched on in any of my tutorials. So we can have a look at that. Actually, I think we could do that first. Let's have a look. So you want some? Hmm. I thought you might. Let me have a look. Which screen do I want? That's the right screen. I'm starting to get good at using Streamlabs OBS. If anyone's got any tips on that one, let me know. All right, let's run a game. Let's launch Legend of Cabranth. This is the main game that we run. This is what we stream on a Friday. Um, so I'll run that one up because we've got loads of characters and things on there, and I'll show you how we do the effects. Now, using effects, and particularly using effects with how to make them into macros. That's just a bit complicated, and it'll probably take about 25-30 minutes to go through that, so I'm not going to go through that right now. Okay, so let me just wait for this to load because it'll take ages. My laptop does not like streaming and loading up high-res images through Roll20 at the same time. So let's wait for that to go. We're gonna need some actually, we're gonna need some monsters. Let's go into the Knoll camp that they all fought the way through. And there should still be some Knolls lying around. Let's have a look. I think they killed them all, Man, look at this. This is taking so long. Terrible. Okay. Let's have a look. So let's have Lost over here. Let's have our wizard, Liana, over here. Oh, there we go. It's loaded now. Okay, so let's say that Liana wants to launch, what she got? Frostbite. So she wants to launch Frostbite. So on the left-hand side, make sure we can see that. Yep. On the left-hand side where you've got your toolbar. So this is, I should have mentioned this earlier. This is only something that you get when you're a pro subscriber, which is like $8.99 a month. So you've got to make that calls if you think it's worthwhile. So yeah, you click on the Thunderbolt. You pick what you wanted to do. So we've just done Frostbite, which is it's a bit like a missile attack, but the missile attack is a little bit crap, so we don't really want to use that. Let's instead use Beam, which is better, and then we'll pick Frost. And then to make that actually work, we have to click and drag in the direction that we want it to go. Okay, look, woo, there it is. Amazing. But that's a little bit, fiddly. What you can do, and I have done in the past, is you can. So these macros that I've made here, these FX macros, we've got one for Ice Knife, for example. So you can program it to work. So this is to get this to work the way that I do it. You have a macro within a macro. So the macro is really simple. It's just slash FX, the one that you want. So we've just done beam. The type that you want it to be, so frost. So this one's bomb and beam. This is because Ice Knife has an explosion on the target. And its target is 1 token ID, and selected token ID for the second one is where it comes from. So I'll talk you through them really quickly. I don't want this to get into a macros thing, and it could do. So yeah, tell me, Sarah, tell me if I'm talking about macros too much. So this part here, this first part, at, open, and target, that's saying pick a target. How many do you want me to pick? I want you to pick one target. And then that token ID becomes the target. That sounds like it was a lot, but when you actually see it work, you'll see it's not. It's a lot easier. The next one is Frostbeam. Now Frostbeam needs two variables. Variables being information that can change. The first piece of that variable is it needs to know where it's coming from. So what I've done is I've used at, which again opens the character sheets or the questions that you pose in this case selected, so it's not going to ask me for the target. Instead, it's going to make it the target, being the selected token. That then gives it the token ID, and then again we're going to target one, which is that. So if I do test and close that down, it's going to say choose one. So click on a token to make it your target. The target is lost, and now choose a token on the screen to choose your target. I've done this the wrong way around, look. And then it's not working for reasons I don't know. Close that down. Oh, I know why. Because you have to. This is what I was saying about this getting in depth really quickly. So these are set up to be within another one. So what I would do is copy, not copy. I would copy the name of the macro, and then open the character sheet. Jump into the attributes and abilities, and you see how we've got ice knife. Oh, she has actually got ice knife. That's good. After all of the blurb, which we just sort of get on, we're going to do hashtag and then FX ice knife. Okay, and unless I've done something wrong, this will now work as it should. I haven't actually reviewed this, so I could just be embarrassing myself here. So we cast ice knife, and then it's going to roll them, but not straight away. It's because I didn't have a token selected. That's why it wasn't working. So now I've got to choose a target. That's my target. So it's going to roll the dice, tell us what it is, and still not do the effect. And the reason, there it goes. The reason it wasn't working before is because I didn't have a token selected. So when it was saying that select, use this token, it was blank. So that was why it was coming back with all these errors, and it got into a loop which caused loads of errors. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. That's FX and how to do them. All right, I'm just going to use my phone to see what some of these questions were, because a couple of them just bobbed up. So let's see what we've got. Nope, that's someone saying thanks, dude. Thank you, random person. Is this what? So I'm using the pro version. So the effects aren't available on the free one. You have to get the pro version for that. Okay, what was another question? So that's FX in a nutshell. I will just show you some of them, such as this burst one here, which is kind of cool. So you hold it down, and whilst you're holding it, it does this, so you can do it in an area. Hello, Scruffington. You can. Oh, I'm gonna burp. When you let go, it does this little explosion thing. And obviously, if you wanted to use that for such as Fireball, that's not the range of Fireball. So you can edit these and create your own. So I've got this custom one here, and I can't even remember what this does. How does someone get so beautiful? That's did you notice my hair? My wife got bored in this lockdown and bleached my hair. So rate that out of 10. God, what does this do? Let's have a look. Let's test it. No idea. No idea what this does. But you can create custom ones. And when creating one, like I was saying, this one here, the explosion, which is a little bit bigger. You can make that bigger so that it actually reflects fireballs. 6. Thanks, Chris. 6 is good. All right, next question. Next question. All right. When you're hitting an action, do your players see the action and the information that gets tagged along with it? Is there a way around this? When you're hitting an action, Oh, hang on a minute. I think I know what this is. So let me just get rid of all that. There is a thing on here. Get rid of that. Clear the chat log, so that's all gone. I think the question that's being asked here is, let's just do a shadow blade. The person's asking, or I think they're asking, is there a way to hide this from the other players? Yeah, there is. How you would do that is actually really simple. So if you load up the character sheet and go into here, you can see that it just this only in the D&D 5th edition by Roll20 do you get this option. But it says public or to GM. So if you do it to GM only, and then you can go back out, everything that you do will now be yellow, and that means that only the dungeon master can see that. And I understand why you'd want to do that. If you're old school and you remember first edition and AD&D, the dungeon master was the only person that rolled dice, and it was done behind a screen. In fact, Gary Gygax had this idea that we should be behind a curtain, and you only hear our voice, you never see us, which ain't very social, but whatever. So yeah, if you want to play old school, then there is another way to make sure that that always happens. I'll just go out. If I go back to the Legend of Cabranth setup, go into settings, game settings, and if we scroll down, so somewhere on here, character templates, global damage, there is an option to change it so that everything is done to the GM only. And of course I think it's that one, whisper toggle, always query, always whisper. You don't want that. You don't want that. Okay, I might be lying now. Actually, it might not be on there. But the answer to your question is set it to GM, and if you do that on the character sheet, it will always roll everything that that character does, just to the dungeon master, so that no one else can see it, and then you can decide to fumble. Let's see what else we're getting on here. This is mostly now just my friends telling me how beautiful I am. Okay. Phil wants to see my tits. Phil, you've seen them many times. Okay. What other questions we got? We've done that one, done that one. That's kind of the same one as that one. I'm looking to do something like this. How would I find a group? That's a pretty open-ended question. Okay, right. So if you haven't done it already, you should go to the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition group on Facebook. That's not my group, but I highly recommend that particular group. There is. There is, however, in Roll20, if you're looking just for a game on Roll20, there is a join group section. So if you go into here, and it doesn't have to be just D&D, it can be anything, and you can find games that match yours, or you can even create games here. Over here, we can see some of them that are starting soon. You've got Lost Mines of Van Delver starting. That's a pay-to-play. You're going to find a lot of pay-to-plays on Roll20, especially right now. It's quite popular right now. Let's have a look. D&D. I'm going to go 5th edition because why not? Matching words. I'm going to put cuss. Let's have only free-to-play games. So there's normally loads of free-to-plays. There is none with this matching keyword. No one's running Curse of Strahd. That saddens me. So when we take that out, these are all the ones that we've got going on. You can click on any of these. I'm going to find one that looks about right. Who's this person? Ace. The Forged Concordance. Um, Total plays needed 9,999. Fuck knows what this guy's doing. But yeah, so here's an example. If you want to get on with this, most of them will have this as well. They'll have a Discord link. You literally just pop in there, and different people have different things, ways of doing it. Some people just have a link to the actual game, like you'll click in it, see if you can find one. This guy's got a free one, so DM needed. I think every D&D player knows that one, don't they? But yeah, so you just click into they have their own forums in there, and you just in there, hey, can I join your game? It should say this, style of game that they're going to run and that kind of thing, so you can find that. So I hope that answers some of those questions. Let's have a look at what other things we've got showing up. I've got loads of notifications, and just looking now what we got. What's that one? That's just somebody else thanking me for doing this. It's great. I appreciate that you like this, but questions would be so much better. What's this person asking? How do you stream your games? I stream using Streamlabs OBS, which I'll show you what that looks like actually. I don't see why not. Can't hurt. So Streamlabs OBS is this. Give it a second to majigger around. I'm not going to tell you how to set this up because I don't know. I'm still sorting this out. So I don't really know the answer to that. Got to Google Streamlabs OBS and just download it. And yeah, I am still learning as I go, so can't really do more questions on that one. Let's have a look at some of the others. Can I recap on Fog of War? Totally forgot to use it last time. Yeah, sure. Let's join a game again. One of my games. Let's go back into. You see this murder mystery game? I had so much fun with that today. Figured out how to use the cards finally. I've never used them, and when I was building it, it sort of figured out how useful they can be, and then to test the limits of them, I decided to build Cluedo, or Clue if you're American, into Roll20. So now that's a thing that we've got, and I might do a video on that. Okay, so Fog of War. There's two types of Fog of War. Let's just wait an hour for this to catch up. I swear my laptop's not entirely crap. Entirely. So first steps for Fog of War is to go into your page tabs. Click on the page setting for the one that you want Fog of War on and enable Fog of War. For the purpose of this, I'm going to turn off dynamic lighting, just so you can see that it's just Fog of War that's happening. And then press OK, and the screen goes kind of dark. If I now choose one of the characters, so let's choose Nigena, and press Control and L. So as a dungeon master, if you press Control and L, it shows you what they can see. They can't see anything because of the Fog of War. On the left-hand side, where you've got your toolbar, the I is to reveal areas. You can also hide areas as well. So I'll click on Reveal Areas. Do you know, any minute now, this background battle map is going to finish loading. How do I get my alerts feed to apply the bonuses on my initiative on the character sheet? Can't figure this out. No problem. I'll sort that out for you in a second. So yeah, you literally just drag a box out. Once you've clicked the eye, you just drag a box out. Now, if you want this to match with the squares, hold down Shift when you do it. When you do that, it'll do this. It'll sort of snap to the squares so that you can pick them exactly. So that's using the box. You can use the polygon reveal area, which allows you to select things like this. So let's say that this person can only see there, and then you see the cave, and the entrance to the cave is still darkened. You know what, a better example might be over here. Let's say Nigena is, let's put her somewhere else. Let's put Nigena over here, and we're going to, no, and we're going to say that this ridge is like 10 feet tall, and she's hiding behind it. So we can select, just click, 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 drag all the area, and then when you've finished, bump. So now if we select Lost can't see Nigena. If we go over here and have a look what these guys can see, put head there, let's put Mozu down here. You know, Mozu's got a new image now and it's pretty cool. And I don't mean he's turned his life around, I mean he's got a new image. Yeah, so there we are. This is what the characters can see when I do Control and L. Fog of War does interact fully with the dynamic lighting. So if I turn dynamic lighting back on, actually there is no dynamic lighting on this map. I was lazy. But yeah, it interacts fully. So you can reveal an area using Fog of War, but if there is a solid object in the way that you have made to interact with dynamic lighting, then they still won't be able to see through it. In the masterclass that I'm going to do soon for YouTube, I'm going to show you how to use an API that allows you to see through certain directions of dynamic lighting, which is pretty cool. For example, with this cliff here, if I click on Liana can see down here. However, if this was a solid ridge using dynamic lighting, she wouldn't be able to see down there, which is wrong because obviously if you're stood upon a ridge and look down, you can see down there, but people can't see up. So this API, which is quite technical, it's not difficult. It's just takes some learning. Would allow you to see one way or the other. All right, next question. How do I get my alert feat to apply the bonus of my initiative on the character sheet? I can't figure this out. Right. So once again, Liana's going to help with us. So let me just load Liana up and put her back to public because that's how I play it. I don't play like that. Okay, so you might have noticed that you can't edit your initiative directly. There's a few things like that you can't do. But as Dave mentions that he's got the alert feat, so he needs to add +4, I think. So click on the little cog, and then you get this page, which at first is a little overwhelming. But for this, all you need to do, Dave, is look at this center box here. And if you have a look down, you've got your initiative modifier right there. Literally just put your 4 in there, press enter. Now when we go back to the core, you can see it's added that 4 on. And when you're putting the number in here, you can put it in as a +4 or a 4. It's fine. It'll have the same effect. Do you know what I've never checked is if you get the alert feat out of here, if it adds it automatically. Let's have a look. It does not. That's interesting. That's quite interesting. That's maybe something that I can take back to the forums and point out. Now I just need to get rid of that feat, otherwise Sarah will keep it. Okay, hope that one answers that one for you. I did that kind of quickly, so I'll show you again one more time. So when you get onto the character sheet, it's the little cog just here. And then you can do this with any of these. Another thing as well that's worth noting is expertise. So any of these can be altered, and if you look down here where the skills are, you can set something to expertise. So let's say that she's an expertise in acrobatics. You literally just click it and then change it to expertise, and that'll then have an effect. Why is your hit die down as a D4? It's a D6. What's going on there? Yeah, it's because there's been a change. There's been a change to the character sheets. So anyone who's got a character sheet that's more than a week old, you need to go in and change your hit die back. There we are. That's right. Okay. Really need a more user-friendly DM table. None of them are very easy to pick up and play. A DM table. Not sure what a DM table is. What's a DM table? Is there a way to get Dev to flesh out Carbon 2185 module more? Is there a way to get him to do it? You can always ask him nicely. Maybe send some flowers. A few pictures, yeah. Some like bra and panties. Do your hair nice. Um, it might work. But there is other things you can do to help. One thing that bugs me is you can't add to the compendium, that's this thing underneath the eye in your right hand side. So you can put anything in here, and you can search for things, and it's like, hey, look, there's proficiency for a dagger or an actual dagger, magical daggers, then the magical daggers that actually have names to them, spells, all that kind of stuff. That's cool. Um, how can we work on the character sheet though, which I imagine is your where your question is rooted, because I joined Chris's game. It was a lot of fun. Joined it last Monday, first session. It was good fun, but the character sheet is super crap. What work on this one? I'll have to. Okay, yeah, the murder mystery game has got that's got a custom character sheet on it. So once you've selected a custom character sheet, uh, go into the game settings and scroll down somewhere close to the bottom. You get this here, which is your custom character sheet. You can actually change the character sheet. So, oh man, what is the address? Let's have a look for Roll20 Carbon 2185 character sheet, and let's see if it takes me to GitHub. There it is. So this is what I would do to start anyway. Ooh, hang on, that's everything. We don't want everything. We just want all of this. So all of the character sheets are public. All of the code. It's not quite open source, but it's public. And if we go and find them on GitHub, or you can pronounce that. Is that a hard G or a soft G? Is it a Git or is it a G? It's like GIF and GIF. So yeah, you copy all that and you put it in there, and look what we can see. We can see the character sheet, and then we can start to make changes to that character sheet to make it behave more in the way that we want it to. That's huge, and would probably be the subject of several tutorials. I don't fully understand it myself. As you can see, I had a little bit of code in there that I was using to try and make one of these. I was trying to make one. Look how simple that is. I spent about 2 hours getting nowhere. It uses HTML and CSS, yeah, which I haven't used since I was at school and had to. So that's my answer to that. But I would still bug them. If there's demands, they'll do it, especially if they can make money off it. I still want to know what a DM table is. Matthew Noakes or Nookies. They really need a more user-friendly DM table. I'm not quite sure what that is, but yeah, maybe you can articulate that, better, and I'll try and answer it. Okay, next question from beforehand is, could you cover assigning tokens to character sheets? Oh, that was another one from Chris. Assigning tokens to character sheets. What's it doing? Let it do what it's doing. Yeah, I can have a look at that again. Oh look, now it's going to take ages to load up again. First world problems, man. First world problems. Oh, there's one I can answer there without doing anything. Where do you get your maps from? Yummy. The short answer is I build them, but I don't build them from scratch. So I don't draw the maps. I build the maps, and I get my assets from. I use exclusively Forgotten Adventures, just because over the last couple of years, this guy or group have have gone from having a couple of quite cool ones to like a full library, and you can do almost anything. Um, we recently played Horde of the Dragon Queen, and I built the maps using assets from Forgotten Adventures. Um, Mostly because I enjoy doing it. Kind of takes me back to when I was about 11 years old, playing on Command and Conquer Red Alert, and you could get the editor and make your own maps and put all the gold at your side. Uh, so yeah, I get them from Forgotten Adventures. I highly recommend Forgotten Adventures, but if you don't like this art style, I would try Patreon. Patreon has, I don't know, probably tens of thousands of people who are creating complete maps, assets like this. A lot of them do commissions. There's a guy, or again a group, the Reclusive Cartographer. His maps are brilliant, and they look a lot like the ones you get in the books. So if you like that style, which I do, you could also use those. Also, Mike Schley, I think you pronounce it. That guy who creates them for the books, he then sells them um, on his own website, and they're really reasonable considering that this guy's professional and top of his game in what he does. Uh, they're quite reasonable. You can get complete map packs for an entire adventure, published adventure, of course, for somewhere in the region of about 15 quid, 18, $19. It's not that bad, I don't think, anyway. What's the other question, Sarah?
I'm going to try using Roll20 next week, hopefully. Any tips? I've never used it before, and all my players are brand new to the game as well. Quarantine has forced us to play online.
All right. Okay, Nicole. Any tips? First tip I'd give is don't set your standards too high. The reason I say that is because we started D&D with most of us anyway with nothing more than a piece of paper and a pen, and we would draw dungeons like this, and they would this would be it. So this is a dungeon with another room, and then there's a dungeon there. And we learned how to use the symbols and things that you'd get in the dungeon magazine. So you'd have, you could say that's a trap door, etc., etc. So don't set your standards to the level that I do. It took me years to get to doing what I do now. And when we first started playing online, I was a player, not a dungeon master, when I first used Roll20. And this is how we played. We played like this. And it's back to that old school theatre of the mind, which is how all Dungeons and Dragons is intended to be played, theatre of the mind. So I wouldn't worry too much about making it, I call it beautifying. I won't worry too much about beautifying it until you've got your hands on the basics. That said, it's quarantine and everyone's got loads of time on their hands. So go away and watch my videos, and it shows you how to make them awesome to start with. But yeah, get your head around the how to use the character sheets. And definitely a good piece of advice is the oh, I can't speak now. The macros. So these that I've placed at the top here for this character for Liana, these are really easy to make, and for new players, it's a really good way. I mean, we of course have lots of abilities that the players want to use, and that's fine. But sometimes, they just need reminding. Just kill it. Keep the flow going. And if they're looking through this character sheet, which I personally think the Roll20 character sheets now are quite good. When Oh, excuse me, when I was first a dungeon master, I didn't particularly like the character sheets, so we didn't use them. We just rolled dice, and we used the character sheets that came in the back of the player's guide, which if you go to Wizards website, which I don't know what it is, which should put like Wizards D&D in Google and you'll find it. Um, they've got the character sheets there, so just get some of them to your players, print them out, scribble it down. Yeah, you got to trust them because you can't see it, but yeah, don't worry too much about having this fully integrated game, because this is a medium for us to play D&D. D&D, Theatre of the Mind, pen and paper. I don't think you can beat it. But yeah, so to make these, I will show you. I will get rid of one of them. So which one should we get rid of? Ice knife. So I'm going to delete ice knife and we'll make a new one. So the first thing you do is you go onto the character sheet and you click to use the spell or get rid of that. The spell or attack that you want to do. So we're going to use ice knife. So just give that just one click and then it'll pop down here. The last time I showed people how to do this, I was in the way. Yeah, I'm not this time. Okay, that's good. So click just here where the text is. This is where you're entering your text. Don't put anything in it. And on your keyboard, just press up. And then press Control and A, Control and X to copy everything that is in that. You don't need to know what it says. That's not me patronizing you. I don't look at what it says. Anyway, it's written in machine code. Then sorry, I'm jumping steps. All right. Go back to your character sheet. Go to your attributes and abilities. And then where it says abilities, this is macros. Click add and you'll get this here. Right click in there and paste as plain text. Make sure you paste it as plain text because if you do a normal paste, it'll convert some of the ASCII into spaces or commas and things like that. So paste as plain text. And that's not enough. Where's the rest of it gone? Let's try that again. So we're going to go and do an ice knife. Click in here, press up. Yeah, apparently that is it. I am highly dubious as to whether or not this will work. Normally just like reams and reams. Okay, so we paste that into there. Press the tick. I'm going to try it actually. This box here is to test that macro out. It works. Natural 20. Name it. What's this one? Ice knife. Ooh. And what's it doing? Why is my battery running flat? Shouldn't be. I think my charger's come out. Yeah, so then click OK, the tick. Last thing you need to do is set as token action. It probably will run faster if I get my charger back in. Problem is, all of my things are used. There we go. There we go. I've lost my train of thought. Where was I going? Oh yeah, I was gonna remind you that in order for the macro to work, you have to have linked the token to the character sheet. So that was using this bit, which I showed just previously. And if you go to our YouTube page, where I have the Roll20 basics, it goes into detail on how to do all of this. Okay, close that down. We had any other questions? Nick Woodty? This is so rare. Dungeons and Dragons. I love this game. I used to play it, but never found out how. You used to try and play it, but never found out how. Yeah, that's cool. It is. It's awesome.
He also says first time he played, he was about 16, it was with books on human type mercenary.
Ah, nice. 16 and who's a human type mercenary. I think I can guess your age now. Because we don't have mercenary as a class anymore. So this is like mercenary, barbarian, thief, and wizard. Or actually, I think it was sorcerer. So that would put you at 16 AD&D. So that would be mid 80s, early 80s. So you're a little bit older than me. You're in your 40s somehow. I'm just showing off now.
Someone else, do you have any experience with other platforms such as Fantasy Grounds? If so, can you comment on the main differences?
I do.
And
I
then you need to answer Chris's question about assigning tokens.
I know. God, I started doing that and then got distracted. Experience with other platforms. Yep, I've used Fantasy Grounds. I find it to be a little bit bloated. It's got features in there that aren't necessary. Examples include magical items. So when you want to use a magical item in Fantasy Grounds, sometimes you've got to kind of jump over some hedges to get to it. Um, so it can interrupt play. Um, so in Roll20, if I wanted to use a magical item, I can't think of a magical item now. I'm going to put Ring of Protection. So if I just, yeah, see it's there, boom, I've found it. I can press down to quickly see what's going on. In Fantasy Grounds, I need to sort of go into, they might have changed this because this was about 3 or 4 years ago. I need to go into the menu for items and then I need to find the magical item. Um, and there isn't a search feature, so instead I've got to go into wondrous items and then I've got to scroll down until I find it. So that's what I mean by bloated. It interrupts play, and these types of things I think are definitely a medium to play Dungeons and Dragons, and they shouldn't forget that. If it's harder to do it than if you was face to face, I think they've failed. And this search feature, really, really simple. I actually think it's probably better. If I was face to face, I'd have to get out the DMG and find what I was looking for. So that's one difference. Another difference is cost. You can play this completely free. Everybody, nobody needs to pay anything. On Fantasy Grounds, the Dungeon Master has to buy it, and then the other players have to also buy it. So I'm going to say that's one to Roll20 compared to Fantasy Grounds. Um, to be completely neutral here, Fantasy Grounds is a single payment. Roll20 for the added features is a subscription service, so that's one to Fantasy Grounds. The customization available on Roll20 I found to be a lot simpler, um, but in the long run, you can also achieve more. Again, it's been a long time since I used Fantasy Grounds, but you was limited to creating new monsters. You could create a character sheet from scratch, but you couldn't change how that character sheet behaved or what was contained within that character sheet. So I'm talking about abilities and things like this. You would have to use a standard template. So that again, Roll20, it's just more customization. And the last one, and I think this is a major one, is accessibility. So apart from cost, Roll20 works in your browser. It works in all browsers. I imagine it works in Explorer. I wouldn't know because I don't think anybody knows. Um, but yeah, it works in all the major browsers, and as I said, it's free. You can get on it anywhere. You could be somewhere talking to someone about D&D, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'd love to try." It's like brilliant. Just jump onto our game. It won't cost you anything to find out, which is how D&D is. That's why they give away the basic rules because it shouldn't cost you anything. It should be free. Okay, what was the question I was going to answer? Tokens, Chris. All right, let's set Liana's token up again. How do you assign a token to a character sheet? I keep doing this and not explaining what I'm doing, so that might confuse people. When you got a token out like that, if you hold down Shift and double click it, it opens the character sheet. Okay. Uh, doesn't work in Explorer. I've never tried it. Explorer's job is to install something else.
Shauna said, can I get my D&D Beyond character sheet in Roll20?
I'll come to that in a second, Shauna. All right, let's remove that token so it's gone. Okay, so how do we set a token to this? So we're going to oh man, I've got to find your token now. We're going to the images, so you must have already uploaded the token into your images. Let's see if I can find this token now, because I do not organize my tokens. Look at this. This is 5 or 6 years worth of tokens. Just it should be in the name though. So if I just put, oh, it's not Leanne, it's Liana, isn't it? Liana, and nope, it's not finding you. How do you spell your name? Is it AE? There she is. Okay, got two of them. Must have lost it once before. Drag that out onto the battle map. Click on the cog, and then we get the token settings. Represents character. And in there we need to find Liana, which these should be alphabetical, so it should be easier. There she is. And then we haven't finished yet. Decide whether or not you want the nameplate. You've got 3 bars. Decide what you want them to do. If the character sheet that you're using has variables set up, you can choose one of those variables to be your bar. So I'm going to burp again in a minute. Nope, false alarm. I want HP, AC, and oh, there it is. Told you. Pardon me. Temporary HP. There was something else. Oh yeah, dark vision. Next, if we're going to advanced, this is what other players can see. Do you want other players to see the name? I do. Do you want them to see health bar 1? Again, I do. And health bar 3. I only put health bar 3 on for players. For monsters, I don't like the players to know that monsters have temporary HP. I like to describe it better. They they there is an aura of vitality around them or something along those lines. Emits light. So if someone emits light, that's how much they can see, basically. So she's an elf, so she's got spink vision. So you can see the dim there. So it's 60 feet in total. However, if I remember rightly, the dark vision works up to 30 feet in dim light as though it was bright light, and then afterwards it's dimmer. So in dark light, you see dark as it was dim, and then after that it's no, great, no. My brain's like moving that quick now that I can smell it burning out. That might not be right. All players can see light, so if they've got a torch, click that one. Otherwise, only that one can see it. And that's cool. Yep. Um, advanced fog of war. So this is the reveal distance. It's how much they can see. I always put that to 120. They reveal out, but they might not be able to see out. Once I've done all of this and I've set it up and I've saved it, still got that selected, and I click on use selected token. And now save that, close that down, get rid of this liana, get rid of that liana, and drag it out. And there it is with all of the health and things set up. What was the next question?
Can I get my D&D Beyond character sheet in Roll20?
You can. Short answer is you can. Sean Powers, cool name. Sean Powers. Sound like a Bond villain. Um, yes, you can import it. There's a script that will let you do it, which you need to import first. There's a few YouTube videos. You can. So there's 2 ways of doing this. One way is free, one way isn't free. And just like with everything in life, cheap, fast, and easy, you get to choose 2. So if it's cheap, then it probably won't be fast and easy. You have to choose. If you do it using the API, the script, you need to be a pro member. The script is already set up. It's not idiot proof, but you go in it and you put your details in, and you've got to have both pages up at once, which is no bother. And then you can. So when you click on D&D Beyond, and you also need a plugin for Google for this. When you click on D&D Beyond and then do, cast Mage Hand, or maybe something that requires a roll, Firebolt, it will send it to Roll20, and then it'll roll it on Roll20.
As a magic user,
Yeah.
I want to manually put spells and stuff in. You don't have to manually put your spells in because you can click on the impendia and drag it across.
You can indeed.
Puts all your details in here.
You can indeed. I would honestly recommend Roll20 over D&D Beyond. Now, first off, these 2 are intended for different uses. D&D Beyond is an accessory to be used whenever you play D&D. You can use it at the table. You can use it, it works on your phone. It works on your tablet. You can use it when you're playing D&D face to face, and you can use it when you're playing D&D online. Roll20 is just for playing online, and two reasons why I think it's better. One, it's cheaper. D&D Beyond is really expensive, and I hate paying twice for anything. But if you are going to pay twice, I would recommend that you put that money into D&D Beyond if you intend on getting past um, this lockdown that we're all in, and then going and playing again. I would recommend D&D Beyond. If you're planning on playing only online or mostly online, I'd recommend Roll20. D&D Beyond and Roll20 both require you to create an account. However, D&D Beyond gives you nothing for creating the account. You only get the SRD. So this is the standard rules. I don't know what the acronym means, what it stands for, but this is the standard rules that are free. You can go to Wizards of the Coast website and you can download the player rules and the DM rules for free. It's not complete. You only get something like 2 backgrounds, 3 classes, and 1 race, something like that. D&D Beyond only contains that for free. Everything else you have to pay for. Roll20 doesn't. Once you create a paid account on Roll20, you get access to everything in the player's handbook. Now, the Dungeon Master can share what he's got in both things. He can share it out to his players. So only one of you would need to be spending money. But the fact that you can share, for example, I think the base level subscription is $4.99. There we are, system reference document. I didn't know that. Thanks, Alan. Did not know that. Yeah, so the fact that maybe 5 of you can or more can share, I think it's $5 or £5 a month for the base level, which will get you access to most of the monsters. It's it's got so much more than the SRD. I mean, if I actually just search in the compendium, you will see, because it does tell you where they're from. So if I put in dragon, the SRD that you can actually go and get doesn't contain any dragons. However, if I go down here into monsters, you can see that under their version of the SRD, which is available to anybody once you've created an account, you've got all of the dragons, including the wormlings, including so much more, all the way down here. So yeah, it's for whatever reason, Roll20 has more available for less money. Once you start spending money, you're getting pretty much the same thing in terms of content. So yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I would for online play only, I would strongly recommend just Roll20. But I'm going to be honest, I have bought Volo's guide, Xanathar's guide, and that's it. I've tested out their modules, and whilst they are good, you still need to read through everything and understand everything. And if you're doing that, you can do that and build it on Roll20 with hardly any extra time. Once you're fluent in Roll20, it's maybe like an extra. I think I can set an entire module up with maybe an extra day on top of how long it takes me to read it. And to me, that's not a lot of time to save 50 quid. So you just got to make that choice. With D&D Beyond, you don't get that option. It's just not there.
Demonstrate how you can drag things across, like with magic spells.
Okay.
Show how easy it is.
Yeah. Let's add a spell. The spoiler's right there. You can see Nigena the Orc. Let's just. Never mind. Um,
So it's in reference to copying spells.
to copying spells, you don't have to do spells manually. So I'm trying to think of a spell that definitely isn't in
In that,
the SRD.
it's
What's
in
this?
Spirit Guardians.
Why? What's that in?
That don't come on D&D Beyond.
All right. So Spirit Guardians. Spirit Guardians. So that's coming under Player's Handbook. I have not bought the Player's Handbook, but I get like access to it for reasons. drag it. So I'm not doing anything specially. I'm just dragging it, drag it over to the character sheet. That little box drops up, and then let go, and then kaboomf, Spirit Guardians. It's in there, and you can use that. Cast it at third level, please. It rolls the dice for how much damage people will take. Yeah, so you don't have to do them manually.
So, do you like Roll20's video and audio? Do you couple with Zoom or Discord? Can the session be recorded? In brackets, try to catch up with the remote gaming quickly.
Okay, let's do one at a time. Do I like Roll20's video and audio? No, it's crap. I have it turned off because when it, I have 4 players. I've never had it work for every player at the same time. We tried it maybe twice for, full disclosure there. It's not like we've really tried and hammered it. Um, so yeah, we don't use it. We use Discord. Can you record the session? Yes. You can do it in Discord. Let me load up Discord. I hope this is in streamer mode. It is. That's good. So this is my D&D group. Here they are talking bollocks. Um, I've got Dungeon Painter Studio up. Let me just close that down. Blip. But without that there, yeah, it's not good. When I enter the chat, I can then share my screen. I can go live. So this shares the screen with everybody that's in there. And when that loads up, which I'm not going to do now because it might crash. I don't know what would happen if I loaded it up whilst I'm streaming. But you can click to record. It's that simple. Discord. Sorry, I'm just assuming everybody knows what Discord is. Discord is what TeamSpeak wanted to be. And if you don't know what TeamSpeak is, I'm getting lost already. So it's just not lost the character. Discord, which you can download for free, is a Skype thing for gamers. That's pretty much their angle. It's like Zoom, but it's built with gamers in mind. So it integrates with most games, integrates with Steam, for example, and everything that you can get on Steam. It's free almost entirely. Yeah, I would highly recommend Discord. The reason that we moved, what did we use before Discord? Do you remember? TeamSpeak. And the reason we moved to Discord is despite the fact that it's a bigger program, it uses less of your computer's resources. Oh, it is old. Okay, any other questions? I've covered all them ones. I've still got a couple in here.
Does it integrate or you run it alongside Roll20?
I run it alongside Roll20. Yeah, so I'm already on it here, and if any of my friends were about, Merzu, that's Scruffington, he could jump in, and then we just, yeah, it just runs in the background. It doesn't integrate directly. Yeah, I'm not sure what integration you'd want. Come to think of it, all your roles and that are still done in Roll20. Your character sheets are in Roll20. Your battle map is in Roll20. Essentially, Roll20 is your game, your D&D game board, and everything that goes with it, and literally the talking. That's all that Discord does. Is there a way to align imported maps to the Roll20 grid? There is. I did this last time, but I don't mind doing it again. It's actually quite simple. It's a little bit. It takes a bit of time to get used to using it, but it's not that bad. Now I think I've got some pre-builds. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's it. It's a problem that I would definitely identify with Roll20 is their tutorial is crap. Their tutorial basically gets you to do a few things and then that's it. So this is a map that I built. It's a tiny map that I built. and it doesn't have a grid on it, so we can't use that one. Let me find one that's got a grid on. Where will I find one that's got a grid on? Swordsman? These are all different campaigns we've run on here. No, they're just images. The Sword Coast. There'll be some from the Sword Coast that uses hexes.
Do you use modules or do you find they take us too much bandwidth, especially now with everyone remote?
I don't use the modules. So you can buy the modules from the Roll20 marketplace. I don't use them because I earn most of them. So for example, I've just recently got Curse of Strahd, and I plan on running that IRL, so not on here. If I was going to run it on here, though, I would build the maps and then use the handouts to put all of the information that I need into Roll20, and I would play it with it open on my desk, just like you would if you was playing.
Sean has said only for laptop, can't use in tablet/iPad.
What, Roll20? You can use it on tablets and iPad. This one pops up a lot, and I haven't checked why, but people think that you need to pay like $100 to use your iPad on Roll20.
I use it on my phone.
You don't? Yeah, yeah. We got people using it on the phone. Literally just use your phone and go to roll20.net on your phone and log in that way. There is an app.
Yeah, that's free as well because I've got that.
Yeah, the app though doesn't show you the game board. I won't bother with it. Just yeah, most smartphones, pretty much all tablets, and definitely an iPad can manage this in the browser. So yeah, it does work. Umbridge Hill. Yeah, let's use Umbridge Hill. Okay, so this is a big map. How do we do it? The first thing we do is we get it somewhat like. This is somewhat like. Then go into the page settings, and down here where you've got, this is all about your grid. Turn the opacity all the way down so that you can't see it. Now, zoom in, control and mouse wheel to zoom in. Right click on it.
Kevin says favourite classic campaign.
Favorite classic campaign. That is a good one. I'm going to think about that. Yep. So, sorry. Right to align it to the grid. Right click, advanced, align to grid. I'll tell you what we did run recently was, well, not recently actually. It was about 2 years ago. The Lost Shrine of Tamawakan, which I never played that in the classic setting. I only played that on 5th edition, but I really enjoyed it. My players hated it; they didn't like it, but I really enjoyed it. So yeah, once we've right click and gone to alignment, we get this tool which says you need to draw out a 3x3 grid. So try and align as close as you can to the center, and then go for 3x3 grid. And it says this is how big it should be. All right, align to grid, and it increases the size. Zoom out. Ooh,
Yes, that's a good one.
I played years ago when I didn't even know I was playing Dungeons and Dragons, and we had to go and it was out of a magazine. It was out of Dungeon magazine, I think, and we had to go and save. Uh, White Plume's good, yeah. We had to go and save like a wizard, and when you get there, he's in this tower, and there's like a bad wizard, and you got to save the good wizard. But the good wizard and the bad wizard had switched bodies, and that might have been homebrew. I can't remember, but yeah, that was really cool.
Sean has said I tried to build up a map with tokens and everything on the iPad and could not get it to work, but I can't draw the way I want to on the laptop. Any tips?
I can help with that, but first I need to know what way you want to draw. So tell me the way that you want to draw, and I'll give you some tips. Okay, so I've gone back into the settings and turned the grid on so we can see it. And literally you just need to move it around and line it up. Hold Alt when you let go. Close that. You can see it's not lined perfectly. I just need to make this page bigger. It's not big enough, is it? Let's make it 40 by 40. Okay. So if I scroll to the end so I can actually see these, what you need to do is hold Alt and move these tabs so that you get the alignment. That's about right. And then we've done it vertically, so we need to do it horizontally now. We can't see the thing. Where is it? There it is. Um, there we go. Okay, so now we've got it about right. We can now move it around and place it wherever we want. And I'll go and grab a token so you can see. Oh, wait a minute, I'm still on the map layer. Don't forget about your layers. So this on your left-hand side toolbar, the square, that's your different layers. Make sure you don't put tokens on the map layer, and vice versa. Lucy is. Hello, Lucy. Yeah, so now that look, we've aligned it, you can see that it's moving within the squares as we'd need it to. And the YouTube tutorial does go into that. All right, what other questions did we have? Did we have any other questions? Sean is struggling. Tried to build up a map of tokens and everything. I've lost my drink. Where is it? None. There we go. Nick Wood, yep. Roll20.net, that's what we're on. But I can't draw the way I want to on the laptop. Any tips? I suppose it depends on how you want to draw. Firstly, I'd like to be able to draw with an iPad pencil and my iPad to just draw out the walls and doors, simple stuff. Should be able to do that. So let's get rid of this map. So I have a touchscreen as well. My laptop's touchscreen, and I also like to do it like that. If you go on to, once you're on your map, make sure you're on the background layer. So left hand side, get your layers, which is the second cube down, and go on maps and backgrounds. And then go to the one below that, which is the pencil, and choose freehand. Whilst you're using your laptop, your iPad, sorry, your iPad pencil should work with that, and you can, yeah, literally draw however you want on there. In the top corner, you've got it's really basic, really simple tool where you can choose to have larger or smaller, thinner, fatter, thicker lines, and you can choose different colors. I personally like to use a laptop because I do like? I like the classic style. So if anybody else remembers when it used to be blue on white, so they have the right blue here. It's this one here next to it. So just there, not the one that's on the very end, but the one next to it. So stick that on, and then go to polygon and line and switch it to white, and then you can make you hold shift down and click. Oh, straight lines, yes. So you want the polygon polygon slash line tool, and this works with single clicks. So I don't think that would work with your Apple Pencil, because if you was to draw down, it'd probably only register where you first press. So you'd have to press. Like basically like what I'm doing now. So as our dungeon, um, and we're gonna have let's have a room here, but and let's have a room here. Blip. Let's have a trapdoor there, which leads to, whatever. Yeah, so that classic style, and then, of course, when you're using this style, you should change your color to white and make it almost completely opaque. And then yeah, you get that style. So if you remember the old AD&D maps where they used to look like this, you can recreate those. They're a lot quicker to recreate as well.
This game is pretty hard to learn, especially with using the books. Couldn't ask for online one. Creating the world itself in the books, you would have to have a lot of imagination.
You would definitely have to have a lot of imagination. I find that it's easier for me. My friends have all tried to be a dungeon master at some point, and they say that they struggle a little bit with actually getting their world across. Creating it's fine. So I think it's really just about, this is a big question. Um, it's really about giving yourself permission to just, pretend. Just to play, pretend, and let your imagination run wild. And after a while, it starts to come
Sean,
up.
I understand the GM layer, but how do I move the monsters from that layer to the player's seeing layer?
Okay. So yeah, let me just get that. Here is Liana hiding in here, and I'm on the object layer where Mozo is. Mozo comes in, and right now there's nobody there. So we go back to your GM layer, right click on the token, and it'll layer, just put that onto token layer. And now they're both on the same layer. I'm not sure that Dungeons and Dragons is a hard game to learn. I think it was. I think Advanced Dungeons and Dragons was difficult to learn. Um, which, yeah, 3.5 was hard to master, but I think learning it was a lot easier. We don't talk about fourth edition. Fifth edition is really, really easy to learn. All of my work friends, none of them, oh, one of them have played D&D before, but none of the others did. And I said, let's play a game, and went around to one of the houses, and I took all my miniatures, and we set it up, and we played a game, and they'd never played before, and everyone had a good time. And it's all about, as a player, I think what makes it easier to learn is your dungeon master and how he presents the game. Because if you was to, at any age, if you wanted to learn a game and somebody said, here's a 300-page A4 book, please read that and then we can play. No, you're not gonna learn from that. The way that I do it is I say, just join the game. You need a character. Just tell me a character you want to play, um, and then I'll make a character sheet for you. And and this is what I love about fifth edition, almost every Pulp Fiction character that you can think of, it can be quickly and easily put into a class and a race that suits. Um, and my go-to is, to make it easier, is like, tell me a Lord of the Rings character that you'd want to play, or whatever they come up with. It's quite easy to put them into that. Um, and then when we actually get playing, that's when I'd say to them, when it actually comes around to their turn, it'd be like, all right, it's your turn. What do you want to do? You can do almost anything. These are some examples. You can say you want to go open the door, you want to sit down and have a drink, you want to go and ask that guy for an arm wrestle, or swing your axe at this monster.
Sean, what are macros and how do I use them? Thanks again
Macros.
for all the answers.
Macros. Macros are, if I go across into collections, these are macros, and they do many different things. You can also get macros from your character sheet, and these are the ones that you might be interested in. So I'm not quite sure what macros you're looking for in particular, but these macros that I've made available on this character is some of the magic spells that the player uses quite a lot. They appear up here. And in terms of how you use these ones, these are the ones that I'd shown about 40 minutes ago. So you click to do a spell, then click into or an attack, or an ability check, or anything like that. Then click into the chat box and press up, and it shows you that the macro for that attack. You literally just copy it, paste it into a new macro, which you just go into the character sheet, attributes and abilities. In abilities, that's where you put the macros. Click add, use the pencil to paste in plain text, and then that is a new macro that is in there. I'm going to get rid of that because that's not one of them. You can do other things with them. I'll show you some of the other things that we've done. So this macro, is for encounters in a desert. So the the campaign that we're running right now is set in the same place that another one was set many hundreds of years ago when it was a desert. So I'd set up this macro, and what this one does, if I do a test, is it gives me a random encounter. So when the players go off the trail a bit and I don't know what to do or I haven't got anything prepped, this will bring me a random encounter. And the way this works, it whispers to the GM. This one's all about how it's laid out. Just ignore that. But it whispers to the GM this, which is a roll table. So back into here, and at the bottom you've got the roll tables, and there's the encounters. So on what we do here is we add an item, and each item has a value. Um, for example, this one, its weight or value is 1. If we have 20 items that all have a weight of 1, then we are rolling a d20 to decide which one would be given, and then it randomly picks one. A more tangible way to use this is the wild magic one. So I've got this wild magic table here. So this is just copied out of the player's handbook. Here's all of the different wild magic actions, plus some extra ones that I found on the internet that I thought were quite cool. And then up here we've got the random table. There it is. So the wild magic. So if I test that macro, you can see down here, Wild Magic Sage. It always says Ike, that was the name of the character. You teleport up to 60 feet away. And then, again, it does this to the GM, so only I can see. I've got macros all over this screen, so when I pick one, so there's the skills check. So you click that, and then it brings up this table, and you can choose to do a skills check without going into your character sheet. And it has skills check and saving throws built in. And that's, again, it's all about keeping the game moving and flowing. If you're playing around the table and your dungeon master says, "I need you to do me a dexterity saving throw," you don't get your character sheet, find dexterity saving throw, and then go, "Oh yeah," and then roll your dice. Or maybe you do, don't. Um, you roll a d20, and then you go and you find it, and like it is, you probably know it anyway if you've been playing that character for a couple of weeks. So yeah, you can make macros to take away some of the work that playing online presents. Other ones that I've got set up is initiative. So here's the turn order, which is optional. You don't have to use this.
So you can whisper GM roll, enemy roll.
Yes,
Phillips.
yes, you can. Yeah, you can whisper any rolls. If you want to, let me just grab you a monster from my monster manual. These are all the monsters that I've created over the years that we've been playing. Let's have a helmed horror. If you want to whisper any character, so this can be player characters, monsters. If you want to whisper any of them, open up the character sheet, and then up here at the top where it's public or GM, do it to the GM. Now everything that this character does will be so only I can see it. Let's say I want to check out his multi-attack. Well, I've already set up a macro for that, which shows me that the Helmed Horror makes 2 longsword attacks, and then I can jump straight in with the actual longsword attacks. That way, if I want to fudge the rolls, I can do. He didn't get a 13, he got a 3.
Where can we find macro example?
Roll20 have a limited but still very useful wiki. How I get to them quickly is I go to Google and I put Roll20 macro and then what I want it to do. Macro attack. You'll find in community forums that's good, but the ones you want is the wiki. Community forums are good. You'll 9 times out of 10 you'll find someone in there who's asked the question that you're looking for. What it does here is it tells you the macros. So this is how to use the macros. This is where I learned how to do them, and the examples right there, which you can copy and paste into your game. It also tells you what each part of it means. If you get further down, you get into these extra functions. So you can, this one was crit. It's asking if it was a crit, and if it is, what do you want me to do with it? Do you want me to do another roll? Do you want me to roll extra dice? So you can change it. There's some more. And then, so what it's doing here is it's showing you the different templates that are available. And then this is what it looks like if you copy and paste this. This is what this one looks like. So you can, yeah, that's where I go from. Oh, this is so gassy, but it's also so delicious. Some of my favorite ones is the whisper one. So I can find somebody and I can submit. Oh, that's the wrong one. That's from a temple that the guys have just been in. They
Shauna, have I gone through sliding scale for one character's mood/temperament? Can I press a macro or table for that? Advice.
You can crest whatever you want. I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be create. You can start with a roll table. So if this is random, you can start with a roll table. So I don't know what yours has got on it, but what did you say it was for?
Sliding scale for one character's mood/temperament.
A sliding scale. Right, so it's not random. Instead, it slides from perfectly happy to pissed off and ready to kill. So that's different. Um, what I would do is I would create a resource for that. So if we open up the character sheet for Mozu, and then just down here we've got other resources. Let's say that he has 4 moods, which range from, happy, not bothered, bit sad, depressed, and then we would decide what those are. Is it between 0 and 4, 1 and 4? And then we'd use a macro. Oh, this is quite complicated, this one. I don't think I can go into this one right now. You then you can create a macro which will return this value. So it'll return the value in here which we'll name. So where it says other resource, we'd put to mood, and then it would look to see what the mood is now. If the mood is 1, he's happy. If it's 2, he's meh. If it's 3, he's sad. If it's 4, he's depressed, or whatever it is. And that is done using an if statement, which is in the wiki. If you need to get to that soon, if you can wait, I am going to go into those probably in about a week or two. I'm going to do a series for YouTube which looks at macros in greater detail.
Which is setting a campaign up that week.
So that's something that you can do. James, I'm getting rid of this right now. Look, see, James is the character, is the player that runs Mozu. See, it's gone. No new moods. Oh, James, I need to teach you. Right. You do this where you click on the cog so that you can read it. You don't need to do that. Just
Yeah, how do you read it
you
without
just
it popping up in the chat?
you just click that. That's all you do. You just click the name. If you want it to go to the chat, then you click the chat
Oh, okay,
button.
I've been pressing that and it goes in the chat and I wondered why. I like something new.
All right, I think we've answered all questions and we've run over by half an hour.
Apart from Shauna's last one.
What was Shauna's last one?
That one about the mood.
Well, I've told her a way of doing it. I'm not going to go into detail on how to do it. One, I'm not completely sure that the maths would work. Um, Two, it would take a while to get that if statement. It's do you know what, my brain's working now? I don't know what the aggressor, the trigger that changes that mode. But if, for example, it's being attacked, you could set that up so that each time that their health is reduced, the mood slider increases by 1, which, that could be cool. I like the idea of a mood slider though. I wonder if that's for a barbarian. That would be so cool that they get pissed off and rage. Yeah, if you always get stuck, just message the paid, message Diver in Fights, and we'll do what we can. Right, I'm just going to check if there was any other questions.
That was all one
Could you cover? Done that one. How do you import items? We've done that one. Where do I get my maps from? I've done that one. I'm going to make sure there's no more here. Oh, there is. There's loads on here that I haven't answered yet. Let's have a look. That's just someone saying that I wish he had time. Oh, what was that? Will this be on YouTube later? Yes, this will be on YouTube later. It'll also be on our Facebook page later. Um, what else have we got? Is Roll20 free? Yes, Roll20 is free to get all of the features, which I haven't used any. Oh, I have used one of those features. The special effects, the dynamic lighting, and the advanced fog of war. In order to get them, you have to subscribe. For everything else, you just have to create an account. How do you? No, that's I've already answered that one. Uh, benevolent. Oh, that's so cool. That is such a cool idea. Yeah. And they got to, and then he switches between. Oh no, so is it for the gods or for the player? So does the player mood change or does the god's mood change depending on the actions? Either way, that's cool. That is really, really cool. Um, question there, how do you create old school style? Yeah, well, I've done that. The old school style maps, those are there. I think that's it. I think we've answered all of them. So somebody said, I've never DM'd, I like to game. I've played in person a few times, but don't really understand the total world. Love the storytelling of the game. How do I start with Roll20 and D&D?
Same, same. Guys like having a hydrator and a dehydrator in one room.
It is, except one of them wants to kill the other. Okay, so somebody sent me a message. Um, Daniel G. Bell Engel. That's a mouthful. How do you start with Roll20 and D&D? Step one, do you have a group of people waiting to play? Because if you do, you've already got through the hardest part of starting D&D. If you haven't, then I would take these 3 steps. First, go and create a Roll20 account, a free one. The next thing I would do is I would go to the Wizards of the Coast website, and I'll show you, I'll find that in a second, and get their free rules. Um, so it's Wizards of the Coast, SRD. Yeah, that's cool. That is really cool. Yeah, so just go Wizards of the Coast, SRD, and that should take you to to this page where you can get this. And this is the legal information that nobody cares about. This is the basic rules on how to play. Don't read them all. Just have a flick through it. Then go to Facebook and find Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. Join that group. It's a really good group, really good community. Yeah, make sure you answer the questions. I'll let you join. And then just ask in there if you can join a game. That simple. And make it clear that you're a new player, you're new to Roll20, you're new to D&D, and you'll find someone there that will add you to their game. What's this guy saying? Enrich your battles. Let me know if you want a free key. Digital dungeon tiles. Okay. Well, thanks for hijacking my post. Digital dungeon tiles. Do you want a free key? Nothing in life that is worth stealing is free. You know what that means? It's probably crap. I use Dungeon Painter Studio to create my battles, which really enriches them. And the reason I use this is because it does everything that Roll20 does, but it does it better. It's nowhere near as complicated as something like I used Critter for a while, but it's so much simpler than that. And this has got loads of different. This is floors. There's some floor Then we'll go into the wall tool. Where's the wall tool? Um, and then you can build some walls like this. Um, it's all right, it's all right. Personally, I use it with the Forgotten Adventure stuff because it's brilliant. You have to build your maps using, you know, the older, slower method, but yeah, it's really good. And I think at some point I'm going to do a little tutorial on how I do that and how I build maps. In fact, it might be okay just to quickly show you some of the maps that I've created using that. So this is the current campaign that we're playing in. And these are the maps that we've created so far. So none of these are the ones that the players haven't seen, so it's cool. Here's the Standing Stones map that featured in episode 2 or 3. So this is 30,000 by 30,000 pixels wide. So yeah, it's really, really high res. Um, and here's the dungeon that the guys are in right now. They're currently in this room down here, having picked up that book. This is the Forgotten Adventure stuff that I mentioned, and it's free. That guy's asking you to get a free key. It might be free, but you know what's freer than free? Free. Like actually free.
The world matters the most critical thing you can use in your brain and thought to drive indexes. So that's actually
Definitely does. Does the world matter the most? Yeah, try and there's this saying that Matt Colville, you should definitely check out his videos if you're new and you want to DM. He has this saying, which it's not his saying, but he says it a lot, which is the suspension of disbelief. So the idea that something can't be real, suspend it, get rid of it. And that's important to the world. And once you've got that from your players, once you've got that suspension of disbelief, then everything flows and everything just feels so much better. Let the players invest in the game, and that comes from having a world that feels real.
I think that Shauna's getting that obviously with the play route changes and the goals and
Yeah,
things.
Shauna has got that down to a fan art. Look, the number of freebies in the free pack has gone up. This go, so I did some research and I said in a previous video that I don't know what his model is. He just makes them free. So I've been a patron of his for years, and after he's achieved a certain amount, I don't know what that is, from one of his map packs, he makes them free and he adds it into this complete map making pack. So I'm not logged in. This isn't behind any sort of paywall. Just click on it, takes you to the Google Drive, and then start downloading the things that are awesome, which is, most of it. There is so much on there. There really is. All of these are on look. So you've got the snowy bit, the catacombs. So the map that I was just showing you, where the characters are in now, that was used. The catacombs and the interior props was used for those. Also some of the death and decay. I personally like these two. This is how I actually found Forgotten Adventures. I wanted to move from the the old school maps that I was doing into something that looked better. But I didn't like being fixed. I don't like that, I have to find somebody else's map and then use that map and adapt my storyline to fit their map. Yeah, I wanted total creative freedom, and that led me to this map, which I'll be honest with you, actually, I found it on the Roll20 marketplace, and I thought it looks okay, but what if I don't like it? So I googled Forgotten Adventures, make your own dungeon, free, and it took me to this website. No, no, it didn't. It took me to Patreon. Website's quite new. So yeah, all of this is completely free. This will definitely enrich your game in without needing to ask some weird guy on the internet for a free key. All right, it's just gone 10 o'clock here, and I'm sick of talking. I think I've answered all the questions that I could within the time frame. So I'm going to go. I always do this thing before I close a stream down is I have a look on my phone, I load the stream up and I see how many we've actually got with us right now. Let's have a look. How many have we got with us right now? 52. That is good. That is a build on last session, isn't it? You're one of them. All right, 51. 51. Oh, well, actually 50 because I was one of them.
I think James is that one.
James is about as well. I wonder how many other of my friends are included in this 50.
We need. Robert said thank you.
No, thank you. It was great. Don't forget to check out um, our our main channel. So we've got a channel on YouTube. Sylvie's on there. We've got a channel on YouTube, Differing Fights. We're also on Twitch, but we haven't really been using Twitch.
And Darren said, will this video be saved to watch again later?
Yes, it will, Darren. You'll be able to check this later on.
Philip says, great job, man.
Look at you all being beautiful people. Thank you very much. So yeah, just if you aren't already, like Differing Fights so you can catch up with us. There's going to be more tutorials. Oh, you know what we are going to do? We're going to show you how to use the Character Mancer, and we need your suggestions on what character we should build. So Sarah's going to make a post on Facebook, on the Differing Fights Facebook, asking for character ideas. Um, the YouTube channel is also called Differing Fights, so same as the Facebook group. Um, so yeah, go and tell us what sort of character you want to build, and we'll build that at some point. And then maybe we can keep the crazy voices out of our head by making crazy voices for our characters. So, all right, bye everyone. Thanks again. This was fun.